Hi, I'm Terry Kolath. I'm here today with Wayne Swanson of Turban. He is returning to help us get through all the questions about the political specter. And this time his focus is going to be the Sixth Amendment right to counsel. Thank you for joining me.
Glad to.
Well, you and Melissa Butler and J. Kelly Wright have been taking us through politics for a while. And we're so blessed to have three retired political science professors. So you've chosen the Sixth Amendment right to counsel. Tell us about this, Wayne.
Okay, well, I think some people might think it's kind of a surprise. Why would you have picked this one, particularly since this is the first substantive area of the court that we've talked about? But it is because the case is an exceedingly interesting one, and it's an important one. And it came from Florida.
Exactly.
It was a case involving Clarence Earl Gideon, who was convicted in Panama City of breaking and entering, and he was sentenced to 5 years in jail. All this happened without his advantage of having a lawyer. Florida at that point did not routinely guarantee that defendants would be appointed a lawyer in felony cases that resulted in jail time. When he got to the jail, he discovered the law library at the jail, and by himself, he basically engineered this course, this case from the lower levels way up to the Supreme Court. That does not happen very often.
That is the most amazing thing when you think about it.
It is. And as a result of that, we have some good source material to talk about on this case. First of all, we have a book, which we're not going to deal with, but by Anthony Lewis called Gideon's Trumpet, an extremely popular book. Anthony Lewis was a columnist for the New York Times, and he wrote this right after the case was decided. And fortunately for us, after that, the book was so successful that a TV video was made called Gideon's Trumpet, and we're going to see that video on the first day of class.
Was this, were people interested in this before the book and then the movie called attention to it?
I think the case probably had some notoriety, but not general notoriety among the whole population. But what this did, it basically expanded the range of knowledge. And it's still a fascinating kind of case study.
It certainly is. Well, I love the way you've decided to treat this by having a two-part course. And again, our community improvements, our renovations have kind of given us challenges with this. So we're hoping people will really focus in on where they're going to go for part one and where they're going to go for part two, and knowing that very soon we'll have our Grand Cypress room back.
Great.
But for part one, you've chosen to show the movie. Tell us about that.
Okay, and they should know it's a longer class period. It's basically built from 10:15 to 12:15, which is longer. And the reason for that is that the film lasts for an hour and 40 minutes. I will spend about 10 or 15 minutes with a handout introducing some of the concepts that arise in the case, so that those individuals not familiar with court procedure will have some understanding of what they are. But after that, it'll just be the film. And after the film, we will adjourn to lunch to return on Wednesday.
Yeah, lunch anywhere you want to go.
Right.
And on Wednesday, when we have part two, then we're going to be going to the Banyan Banquet Room at the club for part two. And this is the part that gets even more interesting.
Yes, then we're going to sort of, I'm sure there are going to be lots of questions raised from the film. And individuals who were at the film certainly can raise those on Wednesday. And there are this case also raises some very interesting personnel issues on the court, which I'm not going to get into today. I'll save this, which make the case also a very interesting one. And we will have the advantage of J. Kelly Wright, who will be there, and he was a lawyer in Washington during that time, and so if there are some questions which I can't handle, he has promised to basically bail me out.
You're going to double team us.
And then, as time permits, we're going to look at maybe some other lawyer-related issues, because when the Supreme Court makes a landmark decision, people think, well, the issue is finally decided, but usually these important cases generate other cases, and the one which seems to be very topical now is a defendant entitled to quality representation by a lawyer, effective presentation. And this year, the Supreme Court decided basically 2 cases on this issue, which is unusual for 2 cases on this issue to come before the court in the same term. One of them went with the defendant, and the other one didn't. And so it's an interesting question still on the court's agenda.
That's fascinating. More to come.
Yep.
Well, I hope you will get out your GPS and find us as we do these 2, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 in the Social Center, and that is Monday, the 30th of October, 10:15 a.m. Part 2, come back on Wednesday for part 2, 1 to 2:30. This time, join us in the Banyan Banquet Room at the club.